This week, the name on the marquee has got to be Jamahal Sweet Dreams Hill, who this past Saturday night at UFC 283 in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, claimed for himself the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship by defeating Gilbert Teixeira by a unanimous decision. Mark, let me throw it over to you first. What was your take of Jamahal Hill's championship glory here?
First of all, I think you say Brazil better than Brazilians say Brazil.
Thank you. Extra Brazilian.
Yeah, what an event this was, and what a story this main event was. I mean, this thing was everything. I loved every moment of this fight, every aspect of the story of this fight, straight through to the end. I loved it all. The way Jamahal Hill showed up for this fight was special to me. Like, this is a guy who, let's be honest, was unproven at this level. Like, yes, he finished Thiago Santos, but Santos hadn't looked good in a bit. He finished Johnny Walker, but he's Johnny Walker, and we kind of know how that goes. He finished Jimmy Crute. We'll see what Crute ends up being. Beyond those three things, he really hadn't proven so much, especially at this upper level of the division, which he has yet to hit. And don't forget, he got finished by Paul Craig, a guy who a lot of these other contenders have beat. So there was really no reason to assume he could hang with Gilbert Teixeira over 25 minutes. And I had those same doubts too, which is why I ended up taking Glover. And yeah, of course, you could have picked Hill by first round KO or something like that. That's one thing. Of course, that was a live. Yeah, right. That's what Omar picked. That was a live chance because we know Glover gets hit, and if one lands big, who knows? So you want to pick that, you could. But to see Jamahal Hill come in and fight the way he did and deal with Glover not going away and being a zombie and stuffing Glover's takedowns and even escaping bad positions when he did get stuck on bottom and going all 25 minutes hard, that is a performance that will stick with me for a while. He shut up any doubt there is about him, and he is the man right now. And there were a couple times, even as I'm watching Hill look as good as he's looking, I think the first time was in the second round, I want to say, and then the second time was in the fifth round, where Glover gets on top. And I'm like, oh, man, like, this performance was all for nothing because he's going to get tapped because Glover's that good. And nope, never even close. Like, next thing you know, Jamahal Hill is out, and he's free and clear. And he was just unbelievable. So with all these improvements that he's made in his wrestling and his grappling, he may not be any stopgap champion. He may be the real deal. And, like, okay, is Magomed Ankalaev trying to take you down different than Glover taking you down? Yeah, of course. And is striking with Ihor different than striking with Glover? Yeah. But if you want to believe in Jamahal Hill, he has given you every reason to do exactly that, because the improvements that he is making from fight to fight, especially with his defensive wrestling and grappling, are wild. And then just to switch gears for a second, props to Glover for being an absolute warrior. I mean, there's not an ounce of quit in that man's body. I love Jamahal Hill's post-fight quote where he was talking about who was the ref? Goddard? Now I'm blanking.
I think it was Goddard. Yeah.
Whoever it was. He was talking about the ref in different moments kept telling Glover to fight back. And then in Hill's head, he was like, motherfucker, he is. He hasn't stopped fighting back this whole time. Like, I thought that was such a perfect quote to summarize that fight. But, that was the truth about Glover. What a career he's had, which we'll get to in a moment.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was just incredible the whole way through from Hill, even to the end. I loved after he won, it took about 30 seconds, and then you saw it hit him when he realized he was about to be champion because, of course, he knew he had the cards. And his corner comes in the cage, and he can't even stand, and they're holding him up as he's breaking down because his legs just weren't working anymore. And then into the whole interview where he's crying and then kind of gets defiant and rises to his feet and everything. It was just the whole thing was a moment, and props to Jamahal Hill for the arrival that he just had.
Omar, let's bring you in here. Give us your reaction to this Jamahal Hill moment, taking the light heavyweight title in dominant fashion over the veteran Gilbert Teixeira.
You guys know I've been on the Jamahal Hill train for a while now, and it's always great to see somebody work their way to a legitimate title, right? This was not, I mean, the man had basically finished everybody on the way up. Everybody said he couldn't do it. Everybody said Thiago Santos was going to smash him, that he wasn't ready. He wasn't at that level. Look at this guy. You can tell, look at Santos, look at Jamahal Hill. Like, seriously, who's going to win? And every time he keeps shutting people up and shutting people up. And the fact is, this fight, I think the real reason why I love this fight, the Santos fight was still a grueling fight, but this one, he was in real danger, I thought, he could have been in real danger in a lot of certain situations with Glover, and he just really wasn't. And it was kind of fantastic to see that at every turn, he was the one kind of getting the advantage, the one going on top, the one never stopping. That fucking pace that he put on at 205 is ridiculous. It would be ridiculous in a lot of weight classes. That weight, that the left head kick that he continued to find, the left head kick from the southpaw position specifically. So it was a power left head kick. I mean, he saw the opening. He kept going for it. I was terrified that Glover was going to break his forearm because he kept blocking it with one arm and not two. And I was just waiting for this man to just Chuck Liddell it.
I started to think it too.
Oh, it was freaking me out, man, because he got hit with, what, 6 of them? 7 of them?
Yeah,
maybe more?
Spamming it at one point.
He wasn't really blocking them. He got rocked at least twice by the head kicks.
Yep.
But Glover Teixeira is an absolute animal. An absolute animal. Probably, and I think he said it the best himself after the fight was over, he's too tough for his own good. None of what happened in that cage was healthy for him by any stretch of the imagination. But like even more so than I feel like a regular just being in a fight. I mean, he got all kinds of battered in his face. He got a lot of knees thrown, a lot of body shots. I loved the knees from Jamahal Hill. People do not utilize knees enough in MMA, and I'm not really sure why. Maybe they're scared of the takedown with them being on one leg like a flamingo. But knees need to get used a lot more, man, because they will ruin somebody. That a proper knee, and I can tell you right now, for those of you, I guess nobody fucking listen. I have video of this man who trains us, one of the coaches, kneeing me for real with a pad on. My fucking spine feels that. My soul feels that when it comes back. It's the absolute worst. A real knee, I'm assuming without a pad, is probably going to fuck somebody's day up. I just think it needs to be utilized a lot more. Long story short, Jamahal Hill was absolutely fucking fantastic. It was one of those performances where you expect somebody to rise to the occasion. It kind of reminded me of the TJ Hendon Barao moment when he first came on. No one really thought TJ was going to win that fight against somebody who was like 33-0, 30, whatever the hell he was at the time. And he absolutely smashed Barao. Like, he absolutely ruined him. Granted, now we have little asterisks everywhere about what that really means. What was he, Regardless, the performance itself was absolutely fantastic. Then Jamahal Hill made a statement with this one. I'm actually super excited to see what the light heavyweight division has now at this point. And I think that's what they needed more than anything.
Let me ask you a quick question. As someone who picked Jamahal Hill on this show last week, and actually I think Mike did too in the end. He said against his better judgment he was taking Hill, right?
Yeah.
So I'll ask it to both of you. And Mike, I know you still got to jump in with your take here.
Yep.
If I told you the fight was going 25 minutes, what percentage chance would you have given Jamahal Hill? Would you have considered that he could win the cards?
Yeah.
Like if you shook a magic 8-ball and the only thing it spit out was the fight goes the distance.
Right.
Then you'd be like, oh, well, shit. You would
Like,
think that you'd say that your percentage of Glover must go up.
Right? That's what I'm curious about. Would you Omar, if you knew it was going the full 25, would you have picked Hill?
Yeah, I still would have picked him.
Wow. Good for
I
you.
still would have picked him.
I don't know if I would have. I honestly
In my
don't
mind,
know
it
if I
had to
would've.
be first or second round finish for Hill.
My
And beyond
thing
that, it
too
over.
was that Santos fight I thought was great for everybody to watch because he went 4 rounds with him before he finished him. And the reason why I think he got to that point was he fucking drowned Santos. That became a war of attrition. The pace he put on in that fight too was fucking dumb. And he did pretty much the same thing in the Glover fight. So I definitely would have picked him because it seems like he can sustain it. I don't know how, but
it's not that I was worried about his cardio necessarily. I just thought if he wasn't putting Glover away early, that meant Glover could deal with what was coming at him, and that meant Glover would take the fight over. Like, that was kind of how I was viewing it. And obviously that is not what happened.
I mean, to be fair, man, I thought Glover was going to go a few times, and
yeah, man, the head kicks were a great adjustment because they said this on the broadcast. You didn't have volume, right? You were in the.
It sounds like shit in there.
But they pointed this out, and it's a great point because Glover was not always so great at taking punches, and later in his career, he has evolved into a guy who you're like, how the fuck is he eating all these? And it's because he has become so good at rolling with punches. He very subtly rolls with so many shots. So, yeah, he's getting hit, but he's not getting hit as flush as he could be. So the adjustment from Hill to switch to that head kick, which you ain't rolling with the left head kick, was a great switch from Hill, and it kind of changed the fight from that point forward.
You're right, it did. It absolutely did. The thing that I was most struck by from Jamahal Hill was this sense of like peace, almost this sense of calm that he had from the moment he walked out, and that's kind of what I thought could happen last week when I picked him. From last week's show, I think I said something like, "I'm picking him because I just feel like it's his moment."
Yeah,
and I think he feels that way. I think he felt that way, and in a sense, he proved that right on Saturday night. I don't know the last time I saw a guy so zenned out going into a title fight.
Yeah.
His first title fight. And like in so many spots, this could have been a situation where he froze because of the pressure of the moment. His first UFC title fight after only how many few fights in the UFC?
In Rio.
In Rio, an enemy
You're
territory.
You're going to die chance.
Bro, did you see? I'm going to tell you right now, speaking of that, a shout out to the wife of the man in the stands who started flipping off Jamahal Hill and telling him he was going to die, like to his fucking face, because she saved his life. Jamahal Hill stopped and turned around like he was about to jump over those stands and take that man's life before he went into that octagon.
I missed that.
Yeah, I missed this. I remember you texted it, but I missed
that
it.
woman saved his life. She came over and was like, nope, and she pulled it back. It was fantastic. Good for her. Saved her husband's life.
But yeah, man, going back to last week, there was so much doubt because of the skill set of Glover Teixeira and the unproven ground skills compared to Glover's of Jamahal Hill. But my God, this guy leveled up just in time to have the best night of his fucking career. I mean, and for Glover's part, on the one hand, he kind of goes out on a sour note because his last fight, he kind of got the shit kicked out of him. But on the other hand, like there's a completely different and opposite like interpretation of his last fight. It's like, what a fucking warrior is this man? In spite of all of it, 43 years old, this guy never quit. He easily could have, in the second round, definitely in the third round, I think in the fourth round also, he could have taken some of these huge shots and turtled up and just basically said, that's it. And he didn't, man. Yeah. He didn't.
Bro, he was in mount in the fifth round. Like, he never stopped. He had a shot to pull that off in the fifth.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is if Jamahal Hill wasn't on his P's and Q's for the entirety of that fight, he would have gotten fucked up at some point because he did end up in some bad positions at some point. He just never let them get to a point where he couldn't come back from them.
Yeah. And he ate some shots too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
Every time I was like, ooh, this might be getting close to being stopped, Hill would get wailed on in the face, and I'd be like, oh, shit, I guess not. Like, It happened a lot. But the last quote from Glover in the cage, I felt like was a perfect synopsis of Glover Teixeira. To have just gone through that war, shown the absolute warrior that he is, to use war again, and then to get on a mic and be, as you're retiring, in your moment, where half the fucking stadium left, by the way, which I'm going to get to in a minute, and say, what I'm going to say right now is that I'm going to put my arm around Jamahal Hill and say that the last guy that walked out of here that won, being Brandon Moreno, I saw you guys throwing drinks and trash and shit at him. And we're not doing that to Jamahal Hill because I'm going to walk out here arm in arm with him and you guys show him respect. That's Glover Teixeira. And that was an awesome way for him to walk out of the cage.
Amen, man. All right. Well, let's save Glover's retirement. But first, let's get to Jamahal Hill and talk about what is next for him. Just a recap for those who might be unfamiliar of the logjam that has been the light heavyweight division. So remember that Glover was originally supposed to, I believe, headline UFC 282 in a rematch against Yuri Prochazka. But Prochazka had to pull out due to a devastating apparent shoulder injury that required some kind of surgery. And apparently he's going to be out from 6 to 12 months. Glover apparently refused a replacement fight against Magomed Ankalaev, which prompted the UFC to change the original bout between former champion Jan Blachowicz and Ankalaev into the new title fight for the vacant belt. And that ended in a split draw. And then Dana got on the mic right away at that post-fight presser and said it's going to be Glover against Jamahal Hill for the title now. And I think Hill was supposed to be going up against Anthony Smith in March. So Smith lost his opponent. He was a little miffed about that. And then they made Smith the on-deck replacement fighter for this event. And then he fucking missed weight. So it's just like the 205-pound division, man, at the top. Jamahal Hill has the crown now, but there's like 4 other guys who are all like reaching right there for it. So, Mark, let me start with you. Who do you think should be the rightful next title challenger for the 205 belt?
So first off, I think that this win helped a bit in terms of the division feeling a little straightened out, simply because Glover was beaten for the belt. I get it that Yuri was not beaten, but at least Glover was the champ. He had a war for the ages with Yuri that could have gone either way that Yuri stole right at the end of the fight. Yuri gets hurt. It kind of feels like, all right, if Yuri's not here, the champ is still Glover. Right. So I kind of like that the champ didn't get crowned from some random Blachowicz-Ankalaev matchup. I like that it got crowned by someone beating Glover. So I feel like Hill can say, other than the Yuri point, that he is the rightful champ right now, certainly over Jan or Ankalaev, even though they may want to say, oh, he skipped to this point. Like, it doesn't matter because he just beat Glover's chair. That's kind of how I look at that. In terms of what he's going to do next, the names we've just said are the names. We're seeing already on social media Yuri Prochazka putting his little video out saying, I'm coming. Jamahal Hill putting his response video out mocking it, which was hilarious if you haven't seen it. Look, if Yuri's going to come back a lot sooner than expected, originally it was he's going to be out over a year. Then it changed to like, oh, maybe he could be back October. Now they're suddenly saying he could be back like July. So this injury was not as bad as people made it out to be. He should have probably kept the fucking belt. But if he really is going to be back by like July, sure. Maybe we just wait and that's the fight. And Jamahal Hill kind of said the same thing, and I think he actually put that deadline on it. He was like, if he's not back by then we got to move on. Mm-hmm. So if he's going to be, I'm down. If not, my guess is maybe they go Ankalaev before they go Jan, or we just rebook that fight like soon and let someone win it and then be ready to fight Hill. But I think it's going to hinge on how fast Yuri's healing, which makes me feel like we might as well go ahead and book Jan Magomed again. That way we at least have someone ready to go if Yuri's not going to be back.
Omar, any other thoughts on the 205 title picture?
Yeah, I mean, my initial reaction was to get Ankalaev in there. I didn't really consider Yuri until he says he's really ready to be back. It's all, it's all well and good, but we've always seen a lot of these surgeries not really take the way that they're expected to. Maybe it's going better for him. Things could take a left turn. When he's back, that's when, at this point, I'll consider it. But Ankalaev is the guy that I'm looking at next at this point.
I'm feeling like it's Ankalaev. I think it's his spot at this point. If Yuri's not back yet. And, man, I don't know who is a better or worse matchup for Jamahal Hill, Ankalaev or Yuri. What do you guys think?
On paper, I would say it's probably Ankalaev.
think so.
But I'll tell you right now, I think Ankalaev would have a more trouble keeping up with Hill's pace if he can't take him down. But Yuri, I think, will be able to match that pace, and he'll probably be able to match that pace for 5 rounds if he needs to.
I would be more.
That's really where it becomes a problem.
I'd be more excited to watch Hill versus Prohaska because that would be entertaining as
For sure.
I mean, I agree. I 100% agree.
And it feels like it's the unification of a title, kind of.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, that's true.
I also think that fight would end up being extremely violent. I mean, that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Yuri is one of those guys that just flows. He doesn't really have, like you see a lot of guys with set combinations in what they do, and they fire the combination they think is going to work, and then they'll work their way into different other combinations. Yuri is literally just spinning in place and hoping for the best and flowing and making. But to be fair, his feet are always in where they need to be. His footwork is actually really fucking good. I mean, the man does it, but he does it well. Not something you can really like teach everybody how to do, but I mean, he does it really, really well, and it makes him very unique and unorthodox in the way he approaches his striking.
Yeah,
problem.
He creates chaos.
Yeah.
It's amazing to watch. It really is. Let's talk about Glover Teixeira, guys. 43 years old. You know, plagued by visa issues. His start in the UFC was delayed several years. He challenged for the title once. He ran into a very young, legendary champion in John Jones. Stuck around, made it back to a title bout, took advantage of it, and beat Jan Blachowicz and got the gold around his waist at the age of like 42. Unreal. Who would like to start?
I will.
You can go first. Yeah.
You kind of just briefly covered the story I wanted to kind of point out, which is you introed it. Which is what Glover kind of had to go through to become champion and the age at which he did it. Like, the guy, he came to America and fought in the WEC in 2006, wrecked 3 dudes, and he was like the next guy. Remember, he was associated with Chuck Liddell at the time, and with Hackelman and the whole crew, and like, he was their guy. They were like, this is the next guy after, obviously, Chuck, who was the man at the time. He was being billed that way. He was delivering on it. Goes back to Brazil, fights a couple more, ends up realizing that he can't come back. So he gets stuck in Brazil for almost 6 years because of visa issues. Doesn't make it back here until 2012 after fighting in the WEC in 2006. So now, instead of being 26 years old, continuing his career, he's 32 by the time he gets back onto the main scene, which for a lot of guys is already kind of moving past the prime. But he races to the top anyway, gets turned back by John Jones, which, happened to a lot of people. And maybe he feels like, fuck, like, I missed my opportunity. I didn't get here soon enough. I could have been champ, whatever. But he keeps going, puts together a new streak, runs into Rumble Johnson, gets knocked out. Wins again.
Also happens.
Right. Wins again. Runs into Alexander Gustafsson. Gets knocked out. Wins again. Runs into Corey Anderson. Gets beat. And at this point, no one, or I should say everyone, figured this guy is not going to be winning any titles. Like, as good as we knew he was, he had just become a guy who was like in the top 10, and he would win and lose, but every time he got a big chance against these real killers at the top, Rumble or Gus or even Corey Anderson, he'd get turned back. And it seemed like, the odds, if there was betting odds on him winning a title, it would have been an absurd number. And instead, after all that, he starts a new streak at what? Fucking
39?
age 39 is when the streak starts, I guess? Yeah.
Yep.
And wins 5 in a row to earn a title shot against Jan, at which point he was, 41 or something, and becomes champion of the fucking world. The oldest champ in the oldest first-time champ, I should say, in UFC history. So it's just an unreal story, this guy's perseverance and ability to push through losses and push through missed opportunities and continue to improve at such an old age, which I can't even tell you how many fighters we can list here who hit like 35 and it's over. Their body's not doing it anymore. Yeah, this guy becomes the champion at 41. So you got to give him his credit, and through it all, he is one of the nicest guys in MMA. In any clip you see of any fighter near him, guys love him, guys respect him, and I am really glad that he got to have a title around his waist before it was all said and done.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when Glover was that sort of myth, the guy that they couldn't get to the U.S., the killer that had been wrecking everybody in Brazil waiting for his UFC shot. And I thought the thing that was interesting is the way they built him up. You would think that he would have gotten a title shot pretty quickly when he got to the UFC, but he had to wreck a few motherfuckers before he got there. And when he did, I mean, John Jones put in work. That was prime John Jones. That was probably the worst time to fight John Jones.
Oh, yeah.
It makes you wonder whether that fight would have gone differently when he came back the first time against OSP and Reyes and stuff like that. But, yeah, I mean, he kind of had a rough little middle patch there, and then he kind of did his whole Rocky thing, man, and started restraining these. The thing about the run that he had was how fucking good he looked. I mean, he looked really good. Like he had figured it out. Like he had really gotten a handle on his entire game, not just knocking dudes out, but I mean, he really started leaning on his grappling because his grappling is fucking great. He's really good on the ground. So it was nice to see him kind of lean on that a little bit more and not get into these slugfests that, I love Chuck Liddell, but like the striking over there has not necessarily evolved when it comes to the defensive part of things. They still shell up and they get in there and they work, but it just leaves them too exposed, I think. And it was nice to see him exploit other areas that I think he's significantly better at when it comes to not getting his ass kicked. But yeah, man, I mean, I've been a Glover fan. How could you not like the guy? How could you not root for the guy? I don't think I've ever really root against him, against any guy that that he's fought, with the exception of Jamahal Hill, I guess. But that was, I don't know. I was rooting for Jamahal Hill for longer, I guess, since the beginning, I had my run with Glover for a while that, like, I just didn't think he was going to win. The Gustafsson fight, I thought, man, that one threw me off, especially with how good Gustafsson looked and then how bad he looked right after. Really, really threw me off. But anyway, Glover Teixeira will be missed. I know he'll still be around. He's talking about, coaching Alex Pereira, so he'll still be on the scene, but it's an end of an era for sure.
Yeah, man. I just want to know one thing. Guys from Brazil comes to the United States. Of all the places he could have chosen to settle in the U.S., he chose Danbury, Connecticut. I just want to know why. I want to ask him one day. Be like, why Danbury?
I bet you there's a nice little Brazilian community up there.
Maybe. I feel like we've heard it on like countdown shows before, but I can't remember why. Like, I feel like he has said it before why he ended up in Danbury.
Maybe he just had family there. I don't know. All right, boys, let's move on. Congrats to
Hold on.
Jamal.
I want to say real quick.
Yes,
I meant to get to this point.
Do it, baby.
What the fuck are the fans in Rio doing? Like, first of all, maybe it was just me. I felt like they were not loud. Like, I feel like they were quiet. Maybe it was the acoustics in the arena. I thought it was going to be way more popping in there. So that was one thing. But I think over 50% of the arena was gone by the time Glover Teixeira got on the fucking microphone.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they didn't want to watch Glover get his ass kicked.
Bro,
I mean,
fuck
after
that.
a certain, it was rough. It was rough.
Fuck that. I'm sorry. If you are Brazilian and there's an aspect to this that I'm not understanding and you want to comment on here, totally open to understanding something that I'm missing right now. But that guy is like a national hero, and you can't even stay there to have him have his moment on the mic where he gets to retire and say thank you to the fans and he gets a round of applause, like, I need a fucking explanation to let that one pass because it pissed me off.
Maybe people thought that they weren't going to interview him, and so when Hill was talking, I mean, they always, if a guy doesn't get finished, they usually interview the loser.
Yeah, man.
Well, when it's I mean, especially, we knew he was, I mean, I said it as soon as the fight was over. I was like, is he going to retire? Because I'm pretty sure he's going to retire.
I guess it wasn't certain, but, like, it was in the cards. Yeah, you knew
it was definitely in the cards. Yeah.
I don't know. It fucking rubbed me wrong. I didn't like it.
It was weird
I
to
felt
see
like
that place emptied out.
Yeah.
I felt like the Brazilians were extra dickish this past Saturday. Just all the way around. I feel like them not having UFC for a few years, I think, just put them on a different level.
Yeah.
And it's been building up, and they went extra crazy on this past card.
The first
Yeah.
UFC in Brazil in 3 years.
Yeah. Speaking of Brazilians, one other point I meant to make when we were talking about Jamahal Hill was that I don't know if you guys have seen it, but they are throwing little teasers out there for the possibility of Alex Pereira fighting Jamahal Hill.
I'll take it. Bye.
I mean, that would be fucking awesome. Like,
Dude, that's one thing that I brought
the
up.
The storyline is there.
Yeah.
It's gifted.
I forget who I saw write it. It was someone who's like a real name. I forget who it was now. But he was like, yeah, I have already been hearing that Pereira doesn't like the weight cut.
Well,
and it wouldn't shock me if he
Oh,
feels
shit.
like he has closed the book on Adesanya and doesn't need to do that again. So he's just like,
giant.
fuck it. I would rather fight Jamahal Hill. Doesn't sound crazy.
Pereira is a giant.
And Izzy would have to go up in weight, I think, at this point to fight Pereira, which seems like a terrible fucking idea considering he didn't even make 200 pounds the last time he went up in weight.
Well, that's because it wasn't a true move. I'm sure he could change his body a bit if he was going up permanently.
Oh, permanently? Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I don't think 205 would be a huge cut for Adesanya, though.
No, yeah.
I don't know.
I agree.
Anyway,
But
bringing it back
would
to
be
Pereira,
shit.
I think I said something like along these lines during our preview show of previewing the year. I was like, what if Pereira vacates middleweight, wins lightweight, and then what if he just like takes 6 months
Yeah, that's right. You did.
and just eats steak and creatine and is like a massive heavyweight who just jacks dudes' jaws?
You never know.
Triple champ.
I think his future is certainly at least at light heavyweight. Like, in my head, coming into this year, I thought maybe he'd fight 3-ish more fights at middleweight first. But who friggin' knows?
Who knows? Who knows?
It'll be interesting to see him against a wrestler because I don't think he's actually fought a real wrestler yet.
No, yeah, he certainly hasn't. Definitely not.
Yeah, imagine Pereira against like Ankalaev. That'd be nuts.
And especially if you guys are talking about three-way champ. I mean, you got the fucking Curtis Blades up there. You're going to now apparently have the John Jones. And don't get me wrong, John Jones versus light heavyweight champ Alex Pereira, former middleweight champ Alex Pereira. At that point, that's a fucking... I mean, you can charge $100 for that fucking fight right there.
You guys are skipping some steps here. Like, let's see if he cannot get taken down by Robert Whittaker first before we...
I mean, but this is my point. Is like there's a lot of guys who are problems when it comes to when it comes to the wrestling. There's a lot of guys I think he would have to look out for in the heavier divisions.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, let's move on. Congrats to Jamahal Hill. UFC Gold. His legacy, his name.
Good thing we have no previews tonight because we are 40 minutes in.
Yep.
One fight down,
happens.
baby.
One fight down, 17 more to go. In the co-main event, Brandon Moreno rips the flyweight title back from Deiveson Figueiredo by Dr. Stoppage. Dr. Stoppage! Thank you. After the third round, putting a bow on this pretty awesome rivalry. I'll just say right now, I'm just going to get out in the open. Was this fourth fight the most climactic ending that we would have wanted? No. But some people were like, I guess the rivalry never was that great. Shut up!
What? Who the fuck said that?
I've seen online things.
Get the fuck out of here.
Great
You
fights.
got to mute
Every
those
fight.
people.
Yeah,
Okay.
Jesus.
Figueiredo sustained an eye injury. Some people thought it was from a poke. It was not. That pretty much closed up his right eye. And after
Correct.
the third round, the doctor came in and said, "Can you see out of your eye?" And he was like, "No." And the doctor was like, "Well, then you can't fight anymore." And he was like, "All right." And then Moreno's the champ again.
Did he say no or did he guess?
Guess
Because the
what?
doctor was holding up numbers,
Yeah.
and then
I don't know.
I thought Figueiredo guessed, and the doctor was like, "No, that's it." Like, but maybe he said, "I can't see it." I don't know.
That eye was fucked.
Okay,
Apparently
Omar, let me
it wasn't
start with
broken
you this time.
though.
Give us your take and your assessment of how this fight was playing out up to the point of the doctor stoppage.
Man, I thought the stoppage was fantastic. I was totally satisfied by it. He broke his fucking face. First round, I thought completely went to Moreno. I had no if and or buts about it. It was a competitive first round, but I thought it went to Moreno. The second round, I thought there were some if, ands, or buts about him. I still gave it to Moreno, but if you wanted to tell me that it was for Figgy, then I was okay with it. The official scorecards had it 1-1 going into the third round. And then, Moreno broke his face. And so that was the third round. And then the referee saved him from any further damage and embarrassment. Brandon Moreno, baby, let's go.
Yeah, man. Mark, what about you?
Yeah, this was great while it lasted. I mean, we've said it before. I don't know what these people on Twitter are talking about, but I could watch these two fight a million times.
Yeah.
It does feel a little bit weird to have this big quadrilogy end this way. Like, of course, Moreno earned it. It's not like it was a foul or something. He earned it. His punch is what caused the damage. But, like, it's not like he put him out. Like, it's. I just wish we could have gotten a bit more definitive of an answer than we did. But, hey, I think it's safe to say that's the last time we are going to see these two guys fight. And honestly, we had a draw, a Moreno finish, a decision that you could argue should have been Moreno's, and now a Moreno finish by doctor stoppage. So you want to lay it out that way, it kind of sounds like Moreno had his way with this quadrilogy. And with Figgy already having alluded to the fact, and now obviously we know he made this decision, but going into it, alluding to the fact that he couldn't really make this cut anymore and he needed to move to 135, I think it was fitting that Brandon Moreno was able to win this one and kind of take over the mantle as the new king of the flyweights. So I'm glad to see it went that way and that we didn't have a weird situation where Figgy dropped the belt and that kind of a thing. And Moreno looked great. Like, the rounds were competitive, like Omar said. Well, 1 and 2 were competitive. But I thought Moreno was ahead and got more ahead in that third round. He looked great in that third round. It looked like he was starting to pull away. Figueiredo all fight long looked a bit tentative to me. I don't know if Brandon was maybe throwing some different looks at him that he was a bit uncomfortable with, because it seemed like he was a little hesitant and letting Moreno dictate it a bit too much compared to what we usually see from Figgy. But either way, awesome win for Moreno. Happy to see him as champ again, and I'm excited to see some fresh matchups in this division now as we move along.
Absolutely.
Quick point. Since you brought up the difference or maybe why Figgy might have been thrown off, I was listening to the interview that Ariel did with Said Sayoud. I think it was yesterday, maybe the day before. But I was listening to the interview, and apparently what they were focusing on was having Moreno continuously going to the right. I guess they must have seen something that I guess he gets thrown off. But he was saying, Moreno had him going to the right, go to the right, go to the right. And you saw how many shots Moreno was landing, how many shots Figgy wasn't landing, how many times Figgy was just standing there. So they saw something, Said Sayoud saw something, was able to adjust something in his game. And Moreno's 1-2s down the pipe were a problem.
Yep.
And I've said it before, people need to rely a lot more on that jab cross more than a lot of these hooks. The hooks come after, man. If you haven't set your shit up, hooks are just going to be a waste of blocked energy, and it becomes pointless. Shout out to what's his name, Puna Haley. You need more 1-2s. You need a lot more 1-2s, and you can see. I mean, it's like proven. Like, you see when people throw 1-2s, it's a problem. Sean O'Malley is the king right now of 1-2s, and he gets them in there all the time.
Nate Diaz.
Nate Diaz, when he throws them, his 1-2s are nasty. Conor McGregor was known for his 1-2s. It just, people need to rely on them a lot more than they seem to be. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting little aspect to the game change. Oh,
Yeah,
also,
good point.
apparently Brandon Moreno was fucked up. Like,
Yeah, man, I heard that. Jesus.
his knee was messed up, and he ended up getting sick. Like, I guess they all got some flu or something.
Yeah, sure didn't look it.
Fought through it.
He definitely didn't. So, Bryce Mitchell,
take
where
note.
you at? Exactly, baby.
Oh, man.
Well, the UFC's he's like one of the UFC's sweethearts, I feel, Brandon Moreno. Like, he's such a sweet kid. It's great to see him back on top with the belt around his waist, repping the sport, repping the promotion. He's a great ambassador, man, especially for Legos nerds around the world. Love that.
Lego,
I really do love
Funko
that.
Pops, all kind of shit.
Yeah, man, he's cool, man. He just does his thing.
I love it. You know me. I'm big into nerd shit. So.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a Lego champion, an anime champion. Oh, sorry, now he's not the champion. But
That's true.
The champion of my anime ass heart, okay?
He got replaced by an archery champion.
Yeah, is that what Pereira is? Archery?
I don't know, but his shit is nasty. That one video was pretty damn
right.
good.
Talking
I
about?
forgot that video. Yeah.
What does he like? Kick a soccer ball and then he shoots it with a bow?
Yeah, some shit. It's crazy. I can't even shoot a fucking bow and arrow, right?
Dude, you got to shoot a bow. You haven't lived until you shot a bow.
I have shot a bow. I said I haven't shot one correctly.
I do target practice with my son's toy bow all the time, and I beat him.
You ever see the cartoons where they go to shoot it and the arrow just drops? That's me. That's me. Oh, yeah. It's not great.
It's not easy, I'll tell
It's
you.
not
that.
great.
And I'm not saying that I'm a bow expert. Okay. Mark.
Taking a lot of left turns here.
Give me Moreno's next flyweight title defense.
There is only one answer to this question, and it is Alexandre Pantoja.
Facts.
I have seen some tweets out there saying, "Oh, I know Pantoja's been waiting, but I really think it should be Mateusz Nicolau." Get the fuck out of here.
Off of Matt Schnell?
If that shit happens, I am going to spaz on this show. We better be getting Moreno versus Pantoja. My man has been waiting. He literally cannot look better. Like, he is at 10 out of 10 peak form right now. And he has 2 wins over Brandon Moreno already. He better get this title shot. And after that, if Nicolau wins another fight, we can do that one. But it's Moreno, Pantoja. They already had their little altercation in the back. After this one, like, book the damn thing.
Omar,
why do you think that Brandon Royval should get the next title shot?
I don't look. I love me some Matt Schnell. He's a good guy. I don't see title shot because you beat Matt Schnell for me, you know. And both of these guys right now have beaten Matt Schnell as of recent. So I do think they need one more. I would actually give one of them, like, you know, the Kai Kara France. I don't know. Is he finally scheduled? I feel like I had him scheduled for something, but who knows? But it doesn't matter because the answer is, like Mark said, Alexandre Pantoja. He's next on the list. He needs some. We need that fight. We need that rematch. It needs to happen. We need to get the official story about Moreno versus Pantoja because Pantoja is fucking nasty. And if we don't have Figgy, then what else do we have? And it is Pantoja.
Yeah. Going from Figueiredo to Pantoja is just like no easy fights at the top of flyweight.
No.
Okay, shifting gears here. As we know, right after the fight in the cage, Deiveson Figueiredo kind of made it official. He announced on the mic that he's moving up to bantamweight. His days at 125 pounds are over. So my question to you, gentlemen, is this. Who would we want to welcome him to the bantamweight division?
Before we get into this, I just want to let you guys know what big chooch Deiveson Figueiredo is. Because
what happened?
This man took off his gloves and shit like he was about to retire.
God, dude, I know.
And then he goes, oh, I'm retiring from the division. This man was like, he's like somebody who fucking like proposes at somebody else's fucking wedding. Like, what an asshole. What an absolute dick. Okay, I'm done. Go ahead.
Oh, man. Love it. Love it.
I'm sorry, Mike. What was the question?
Okay, and I'll adjust the question also because I want it to be sort of a two-part question. First part is, who would you want to welcome him into the bantamweight division? And the second part of it, which is sort of the tied into kind of the same question, how high up into the bantamweight rankings are you slotting Deiveson Figueiredo right off the bat?
If you were ranking him before he fought, you're saying?
Well, I mean, like, who you match him up against is kind of, is that answer.
So I texted you guys this after the fight. I don't know why I like this idea so much, but I really do. I would love to see Dominic Cruz, welcome him to the bantamweight division. I think that's a fun fight. At first in my head, I was like, fuck, is the size difference too much? But I looked and they have the same reach. Like, obviously there's a height difference, but it's only 3 inches. It's not like it's like 5 or something like that. So same reach, 3 inches is not like as crazy different as I imagined it was going to be. And I just feel like, A, style-wise, that's a cool fight. B, Dom is always looking for big fights. And right now he's not necessarily getting one against a top bantamweight guy, but him against Figgy is a big fight. And it almost just feels right that if a champion wants to come into the bantamweight division, that it's Dominic Cruz being like, welcome to my division. Let's see what you got.
Sure. I mean, depending on how much Figueiredo's power translates to the bigger weight class, it could be big trouble for Cruz. But if it doesn't, and if Cruz can have a Cruz kind of night, then it could be a long night for Figueiredo. Omar, what do you think?
So I'm pretty sure 98% of this goddamn top 10 is scheduled.
That's valid.
So I'm just going to pick who I want to see him fight, period. No, whether they actually can fight right now or not. And that's Petr Yan.
Yeah.
That's absolute banger, fireworks.
Fuck yeah.
I mean, that's the fight right there.
So that kind of answers the other question of, like, how high up would you... Because he's the former champ of 125.
He hasn't lost to anybody but Moreno.
I'm trying to think. Has he fought anyone who's a current bantamweight? I'm going through his record right now.
I don't know.
Well, he fought Sergio Pettis. Wait, no, he didn't. Sorry. What am I talking about? Moreno fought Sergio Pettis, I'm thinking of, not Figgy. No, I don't think he has fought anyone who's a current bantamweight. I'm scrolling through.
It would just be nice to see this man not look like he's about to fucking die when he makes weight. Like,
yeah, I think you can fairly slot him in on like the periphery of the top 10 at least. Like, what do you think, Mike? I don't think you can put him in like top 5 without having fought other bantamweights, but I think he's certainly in the mix.
Yeah, because on the one hand, like, all those guys at bantamweight is such a murderer's row, and these guys have all earned their spot. So I don't want to rank him ahead of O'Malley or Yan. I don't want to rank him ahead of Marab. I don't want to rank him ahead of Cheeto. I don't want to rank him ahead of Corey Sanhagen.
No. Yeah,
I would put him
those
right.
guys that you could start having conversations.
I would put him right in the middle
Cruz,
there.
To be honest, I might rank him ahead of Cruz, and I might rank him ahead of Rob Font. Rob Font is coming off back-to-back losses.
And I think that's where you put him. Like realistically, if you're talking about slot wise and somebody to fight, you can give him the Corey Sanhagens, the Rob Fonts, and the Dominic Cruz, and see where you go from there.
I think Corey's above that, personally.
I mean, Corey's moving up, so yeah. But
I agree.
he's going,
I think that's
if
right.
if he loses to Cheeto, you could make that fight.
Right? Yeah. Okay. Yep. Agree.
Cheeto
Actually,
versus
excuse
Figgy?
me. No.
I'm saying
Oh my God.
if Corey lost to Cheeto, then you could say Corey has to fight Figgy.
Right. When Corey loses to Cheeto, he can fight Davidson.
You know what's interesting too? I mean, it's not quite as buzzworthy, but I keep reading Umar saying that no one will take a fight with him, even recently since his last win.
I believe
What if
that
they were
shit.
like, you know what, Figgy, like, welcome to the division. You got to fight Umar because no one else is.
Oof.
That would be dope.
No, that'd be terrible.
Why?
Why would that work for Figgy? That's terrible. You gotta give Figgy a name. You can't just throw him some fuking up and comer like he's goddamn Neil Magny.
I don't know,
sorry,
dude.
Neil Magny.
Umar's only ranked fucking 4 spots behind Dom. I mean,
No.
I agree.
No.
I'd rather him against which is why I picked Dom, because it's a trick
Yeah.
name. But I mean, crazier things have happened.
Umar also, again, needs to realize everybody's fucking booked. Literally everybody is booked.
Yeah.
The only person I think that's not booked is,
O'Malley.
No, Son Yudong is booked. They're all booked.
Yeah, O'Malley's the only one.
Yeah, I guess that's true. And we can't give Umar O'Malley. That doesn't make any sense.
No. Yeah,
You
literally.
can't Chimaev your way up there.
Everyone from 13 up in the UFC's rankings, other than O'Malley, is booked.
Yeah. And I wonder what they're going to do, because I think O'Malley's waiting to see what happens with Aljo and Henry.
Yeah, which they just announced today.
Okay, let's move on.
What?
You want to move on?
Aljo and Henry got announced today. You didn't see that?
Officially? No.
I
got
thought
all these goddamn fights.
I got all updates on my phone.
Well,
We got to find out.
let's talk about the next fight.
Target.
Let's.
In the welterweight division, Gilbert Burns gets it done over Neil Magny in round 1 by submission via arm triangle, making somewhat quick work of the veteran, who is the winningest welterweight in UFC history in Magny. The official time, 4:15 of round number 1. It felt like it was sooner than that. I felt like Burns never really got touched. Mark, let me start with you first. What was your take of Gilbert Burns getting back in the win column in impressive fashion?
This was exactly what it should have been. Gilbert Burns didn't fuck around one little bit, and a Gilbert Burns who fights like that, who's willing to leverage his grappling, which, like, easy to forget after kind of the past years of his career, is top shelf. A guy who uses that, a Gilbert Burns uses that, is a filthy Gilbert Burns. And you heard him after the fight. He said, I'm going to sub everybody. So it seems like maybe there's been a bit of a mindset shift after some brawls for Gilbert Burns about using his jiu-jitsu more. And if that's the case, I am really intrigued to see what this next run here could look like, because he looked phenomenal. And that's a heartbreaker for your boy Neil Magny. You could argue biggest fight of his life, big stage in Brazil, in a fight that he asked for, and he more or less got run over. So tough one to take for Neil. Sure, he'll bounce back. We've seen him do it before. But I think he is destined to maybe never quite break through to the elite, it seems. And Gilbert Burns is certainly that. Real, one last thing. I texted this to you guys. I saw some takes of people being like, oh, Gilbert Burns, like his wins are over an older Woodley and an older Maya and an older Wonder Boy. Like Gilbert Burns is not this level, like necessarily blah, 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 blah. Like Gilbert Burns is a fucking stud. And if you don't think that he is in that top 5, like surefire top 5 welterweight, you are drunk.
Agreed. Omar, what was your take of Gilbert Burns getting back in the win column in impressive fashion?
Gilbert Burns' jiu-jitsu is terrifying. Even on screen, it's terrifying. Watching that man get mount, I could feel the air escaping this man's lungs and like not really returning. No Magny got run over, man. That was a lawnmower, that was a wood chipper, that was whatever mauling equipment you want to use, meat grinder. It was crazy. And Neil Magny is the type of guy that, he was kind of one of the OGs of the Gracie combatives in the military and stuff like that. So the man's been doing jiu-jitsu for like a shit long time. And it like didn't matter. And that is terrifying. Gilbert Burns is an absolute problem. He should lean on the jiu-jitsu a lot more. It makes you wonder whether that Chimaev fight would have been different had Gilbert Burns looked to the jiu-jitsu game a little bit more. Granted, trying to take down that behemoth of a man would have probably been, a feat in and of itself, but would things have changed had there been that motivation maybe, or that mindset? I would also wonder if the fight with Chimaev and the damage he took from Chimaev, because, he got hurt in the, in the Kamaru fight.
Yep.
But he took a lot more damage in the Chimaev fight. And I wonder if that damage led to him fighting differently, because he can't keep doing that. I mean, that's, regardless of the fact that he lost that fight, that shit just is not healthy, right? Like especially when you can see he doesn't have to do that. So if you have a choice, don't get your ass beat like that, because it just doesn't help. But this
Actually,
Gilbert Burns,
I read somewhere today that apparently his wife asked him to just go out and win by sub and not have crazy exchanges.
I didn't want to assume, but I was not going to be. I figured somebody pulled his ass to the side, like, okay, we're not doing that anymore. Yeah. So I'm glad, because this Gilbert Burns is far more superior than the Whale and Bale that we saw in the Chimaev fight.
Man. All right, what's next for these boys? Let's start with the winner, Gilbert Burns. Mark, give me a name. Who do you want to match him up with next at 170 pounds?
So we've been listening to these rumors for a bit now of the possibility of Colby Covington fighting Khamzat Chimaev. But who fucking knows what Colby's doing, and who knows, frankly, what Chimaev is doing. So, like, if that fight is going to happen, then all right, I think the pivot is Gilbert Burns against Bilal, which is still a great fight. If that other fight is not going to happen, I would rather see, personally, Gilbert Burns against Colby Covington. I think that's a great fight, personality-wise, build-up-wise, style clash-wise, everything. That's the fight I would sign up for.
Omar?
Yeah, I mean, you know me. I'll watch Colby Covington get punched in the face any day of the week. I think that fight is actually super competitive. Colby Covington's pace, I think, makes all of these fights. No, you know what I would equate it to? If you ever seen guys who like play chess and shit down in New York City, if you've ever seen videos or whatever of those guys, a lot of those guys play, and I was explaining this to Francesca the other day, they play like speed chess, right? So chess on a really limited amount of time.
Right.
Grandmasters who will play a game of chess for goddamn hours, days, weeks, years even. A lot of these guys will almost never lose because they have the time and the I guess the ability to take as long as they want and kind of do it at their pace. You take that same grandmaster that'll beat the shit out of anybody, a computer and whatever else, you pick him downtown in New York City and put him against a guy playing speed chess, and you put the clock on like 2 minutes, I guarantee you that grandmaster is going to be sweating by the end of that fight or match.
Sure.
And that pace changes a lot of shit. Gilbert Burns will run through 90% of this division, but the pace that Colby Covington sets can change a whole hell of a lot.
I like that analogy. Well
Of the guys who are
Chess nerd at play.
Yeah. The guys who are ahead of Burns, obviously he's already lost to Kamaru. He's already lost to Chimaev. I feel like Colby and Bilal are question marks, but I like Burns in both of those matchups. There's only one guy who is behind him in the rankings who I think could beat him. And his name is...
Wait. Don't say it. I want to look. Rachmanov?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Of course.
Yeah. I mean, fair. He looks unbelievable so far.
I'll tell you this, if he kills fucking Jeff Neal...
That's
then,
the one. Yeah. If he walks through Jeff Neal like he has everyone else, that's like, okay, he's on the same level as these dudes we're talking about right now.
The real deal.
Like you could beat Jeff Neal. I'm not saying you can't beat Jeff Neal, but if you beat the shit out of Jeff Neal, that's a completely different story.
Yep. Exactly.
Let's talk about, let's throw out a name for Neil Magny. Omar, you have any ideas of who you would want to see Magny fight next? Is he going back to gatekeeper status?
I mean, I don't want to do him like that, but it just, what can you do? What can you do? I mean, he gets to where he wanted to be. He got the shot that he asked for, and, it fell by the wayside. It didn't come to fruition the way that he wanted it to. And the reality is, there's a lot of guys around where he's at ranking wise that are also matched up or deserve a fight. I think at this point that are higher than him. You're going to have to be looking at other guys now to a lot of the up and comer guys, I think, to get a shot at Magny. And I think that's just kind of how it goes. I want to see if this man, I don't think he's fought him before, but Alex Moreno, I think, is a guy who could benefit from a fight with Magny. I think Moreno still needs, he had his shot against Ponzinibbio. That kind of went to shit. Magny's
notice, though.
Right. Magny's shot kind of went to shit. But Moreno had a nice little run going for a little bit. And he's looked good, man. He's a winner. He's a gamer. Very, very tough guy. Very willing to get in there and really fight in order to win these competitions. So I say put him in there with Alex Moreno.
I like that. I'll say quickly, this is not the matchup I'm going with, but if you want to give Magny one more inside the gate, he's fought most of these guys. One he hasn't fought is Vicente Luque, who needs a fight right now. You could go that route.
Yeah, he's in the gate for sure.
Yeah, he's inside the gate. Personally, I'm putting Neil back at the gate, and I would like him to be waiting for the winner of Randy Brown and Jack Della Maddalena.
Yeah, I consider Randy Brown, and I saw he was already booked, and I was like,
Yeah.
Might not be within the gate, but I think a cool matchup could be against one Kevin Holland against Neil Magny.
Oh, that is a cool matchup.
A bigger name at 170
I
pounds
agree.
who might not be in the upper echelon. Could be a nice money fight for both of them.
I like that. I do like that.
where do you have Kevin Holland in your rankings, Mark?
Number one in your heart. How about that?
21.
Man.
Yeah.
It's further away than I realized.
Yeah, I mean he's not ranked in the UFC either, right?
No, he's not.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know how far from 15 he was. At least the top 15, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, 21. I mean, I'm looking at my list. You could argue he should be maybe one or two higher, but yeah, it's tough to really put him higher than that, at least at this point. I mean, he could have just beat Wonderboy if he fought different, and he'd be a lot higher than that, but based on the actual wins and losses, it's a little tough.
Okay, let's move on. Before we move on, I just got to say, because I have our YouTube pulled up, the thumbnails from last week are fucking fire.
Oh, they were so dope. I sent it to you in the text.
Thank you.
Yeah, they were great.
I do the thumbnails, so I'm patting myself on the back.
the Figgy Moreno one was dope. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I love
That was
that
fun.
one.
That was fun.
So sick.
Heading on down the line. Whew. Jessica Andrade. Dominant, unanimous decision victory over Lauren Murphy. I don't know who should go first this time. Mark, go first and talk about how Andrade beat the shit out of Lauren Murphy for 3 rounds.
How fucking good is Jessica Andrade?
So good.
I mean, I tweeted this on our account on Saturday. She might be one of the most underrated or the most underrated fighter in the history of women's MMA. Like, I feel like she doesn't get the credit that she deserves. And she just walks through these girls. Like, first of all, she's the much smaller girl half the time, almost all the time that she fights at 125. But even when she fights at strawweight, sometimes she's the smaller girl. And it never matters because she's that powerful and she's that good. And if you look at her losses, really her UFC losses that I consider fair, and I'll explain what I mean, are Valentina, Weili, Rose, who she also has beaten, and Joanna. Like, those 4 girls are the absolute elite of the elite, and she's turned back everyone else. Now, she has other UFC losses, but they are all when she had to fight at 135, because it was the only women's division where she was a midget compared to these girls. So, like, I don't even really rate those, like Raquel Pennington and girls like that. Like, yeah, no shit. They're so much bigger than her. So since she has been in proper divisions, it's only that 4 elite group that has beaten her. And no matter what division she's in, she beats everybody else. She put an absolute beating on Lauren Murphy. It was never close for a moment. We talked about how tough Lauren Murphy is and how she doesn't go away, but holy fuck, she emphasized that in this one because she would not quit. But she was more or less a punching bag all fight long, and that she didn't have anywhere near enough pop on anything she was throwing back to remotely deter Jessica Andrade from her game. And it just kind of became a beating as that thing went on, to the point that we were wondering if they should stop the fight. I didn't think they were going to. It seemed like the ref was kind of wishing he could, but he just wasn't getting like enough of a moment to do it. But that was a friggin' drubbing, and yet another statement from Jessica Andrade.
Omar, do you feel that the referee, whose name escapes me, what was his name? By the way, both of those Brazil refs were the guys who were reffing at Tauda when I was there.
Oh, yeah?
That was kind of cool.
Who? Osiris Myra?
Osiris and the other guy's name was Fernando Portela was the other guy. Fernando Portela, fucking great guy. Shout out to him. Osiris was kind of like kind of aloof. Anyway, not a great performance from Osiris, if you're asking me. I think there was a couple of flurries. Credit to Lauren Murphy. Like, she really toughed it out. She kept moving, but there was a couple of flurries where I think it would have been justified if Osiris Maya jumped in there and he was like, no more. Omar, what do you think?
I mean, I think we have to talk about, the corner's responsibility. And we kind of go back to this. Like, the corner knows more about Lauren Murphy than I think the referee does and kind of should, right? The referee should kind of be somewhat objective when he's in that fight. We've talked about before where, the Alex Pereira right hook is different than so-and-so's right hook, right? So the referee kind of has to adjust accordingly. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with that particular take. There might just be something humane about it to the referee. Like, if you know, and that's just, you just act accordingly. But I don't know if you want to go out of your way in order to do it. With that being said, the corner knows Lauren Murphy, right? What the fuck is Lauren Murphy going to do in round 3 of this fight that she's gotten her ass trounced in? She's not going to knock out Jessica Andrade with one punch. Like, you've hit pads with this girl. She's not knocking nobody the fuck out. You know it. Yeah. That's not her thing. No. Right? She's not getting any takedowns. Not a one. So what are you keeping her in there for? She's not Anthony Johnson. She's not John Jones. Like, there was no path to victory by the end of that. If she wasn't going to win a decision, she wasn't going to win that fight. So I don't understand why you kept her in for that 3rd round. By the end of that 2nd round, that fight should have been called. Like, the corner should have called that fight. And if not before the 3rd round began, then in the middle of the 3rd round where she was still getting her ass kicked. I know Lauren Murphy's glad that she didn't get the towel thrown in her. You know what I mean? But I'd be concerned if she was happy or wasn't happy that the towel wasn't thrown in. Mm-hmm. That probably wouldn't want to be the mindset of a fighter, but that's not up to her. You know what I mean? That's put in the hands of the corner for their safety, to make sure that they see things differently from the outside than Lauren Murphy sees there. And you can't tell me that they saw anything in those first 2 rounds to believe that she was going to go out of the 3rd round and do something different. And sure as fuck, by the middle of the 3rd round, couldn't see that. So I don't understand.
Yep. Okay, let's move through this a little quicker now. Give me the name, Omar. Where do you think Andrade is going to go next, if she is going to stick around at flyweight again?
So, no, she said she was going back down to strawweight.
Again?
Yes.
Interesting.
So, if that is the case, I mean, you kind of have to keep her in the mix there, right at the very top. I don't know, is anybody booked at this point? Wei Lee, Carla, Rose, nobody, right? Nope. Everybody's up. I mean, it'd be an interesting time for a Rose rematch, another trilogy. You could even sell at this point the Carla Esparza fight, to be honest. And a rematch with Weili Zhang would be also very interesting now at this point. So, I don't know, put all three of them in a hat, choose one, and I'm happy.
Okay, Mark.
Yeah, it's weird, and I've said this on here before. It's weird that Andrade kind of made this shift to 125 for this fight because she just finished Amanda Lemos, and it sounds like that's who's going to get the title shot against Weili. So in the cage, when Andrade was saying she wanted to go back to strawweight, she was saying she wanted a title shot. She wanted a rematch with Weili. She was even saying that she went to China to fight Weili, and that Weili should now come to Brazil and fight her. I don't know if she's going to get that much of a... I think she'll be lucky if she gets the fight right now without Lemos getting it first. But realistically, she should be getting that fight. I just feel like we've already heard a lot of teasers that they're going to go with Lemos, even though it hasn't been announced. So while I'd rather actually see Weili and Andrade again, if they're going with Lemos, then I agree. I think the Rose Trilogy is probably what would make the most sense. You could also ask her to take another at 125 just for the sake of a fight for Manon Fior, since she kind of has to wait now since they just booked Valentina against Alexa Grasso. So she could do that too, which would maybe suck for Manon Fior to have to get through that test. I mean, obviously she'll be much bigger, but still not fun to fight Jessica Andrade. So there's options. I'll be curious to see where she ends up. You never really know what Andrade is going to do, to be honest. But I wish it was Weili.
Any names sticking with you, Mark, for Lauren Murphy?
Yeah, I will say the winner of the Amanda Ribas-Viviane Araújo fight that's coming up, mainly because I have always been a Amanda Ribas believer, and my hope is that she can beat Araújo and then kind of beat Murphy to vault herself into the mix. But I think it makes sense either way.
Omar, any other bright ideas?
I would give her Tracy Cortez. I think that's a real test for Tracy Cortez. I think it would answer a lot of questions as to how real she is and how good she is, because she's 4-0 in the UFC. So put her in there. Give her a real test.
Yeah, man, for sure. Okay. Johnny Walker, round 1 TKO over Paul Craig. Let's discuss this fight real quick. Omar, let me start with you. What was your take of Johnny Walker finishing Paul Craig with strikes?
So after I watched this fight, my initial thought was, fuck, how wrong was I? And then I listened to our podcast after the fight, and I was like, God damn, how right was Mark? And the fight was pretty much exactly what Mark was talking about, where Paul Craig was going to go for a takedown. He wasn't going to get it. And then he got his ass beat for it. And that's literally exactly what happened. So yeah. I was super wrong. Mark was super right. And things like this will happen.
Things like this will happen. Mark, what was your take?
Thank you. Thank you for the shout out right there. I appreciate that. But yeah, that is kind of what I envisioned. I saw Walker as too big and strong and too powerful. And yeah, that Craig would try to take him down in his not super efficient manner that he goes for takedowns, and that he wouldn't be able to make it happen and get stuck in a bad spot potentially. And when Johnny Walker lands flush on you, you're in trouble, because for all the faults that man has, his power has always been real. And for Craig to get caught like that, like, it's hard to get out of that spot. And he was trying, but wasn't happening for him. So there was no reset coming there for Paul Craig. It was a barrage. And another really good win. That's 2 in a row for Johnny Walker, where he looked really good and dangerous, kind of how he used to look before he started having these spotty performances. So a statement for him that I think he has hit a point now where he matters again in this division.
Yeah, I loved what he said after the fight. I don't know if it was after the fight or it was in an interview. He said something like, I'm going to be patient from now on. It's better when I'm patient, or something like that. And there seems to be a little bit of a maturation of his game, maybe of him as a person. I know also he just got married recently, so he's like settling down. He's finally settling into like adulthood, maybe.
He's still doing the worm in the cage, so I don't know about all that.
When he did that worm, I was like, oh my God, his shoulder. Anybody else?
I was concerned for him always when he does dumb shit after a fight.
Yeah. He's a joker for sure at heart. He's a kid at heart, clearly. Yeah. But dude, when he came into the UFC, I was super high on this guy at 205 pounds, and then some things fell off. He got some bad knockouts, but he seems to be kind of coming into form now, and I'm excited about the attributes that this man brings into the cage, and we'll see where he goes from here. That being said, Mark, where does Johnny Walker go from here?
So I can't really come up with an answer that I feel like is the perfect answer, because I feel like Walker deserves a step up, but I feel like everyone above him would kind of be like, I don't love that I would have to fight Johnny Walker at this point, because he's not like quite there. So like the person I thought of was Anthony Smith, and there's still a scenario like say Magomed is getting the title shot, we might get Jan versus Smith, and then Smith is in a huge fight. But if it doesn't shake out that way, Smith is gonna need a fight, and I could see Johnny Walker making sense. I just don't know that Smith would love that. So if Johnny Walker can't get someone like that, then maybe we'd have to go like Johnny Walker and Volkan Ozdemir, which is definitely less sexy, but I don't really see who else works right now.
Omar?
I was thinking of giving Johnny Walker the winner of the winner of the Ryan Spann Nikita Krylov fight. I thought that would be interesting.
See, I guess I didn't think about that because he got beat by Krylov already. But yeah, if it's, I mean, they could rematch obviously, but you're right, if it's Spann, then that actually could work really well. Right? Did he fight Spann too, though?
I fucking hope not.
No, he did. Yeah, dude, he beat Spann. He knocked Spann out, didn't he?
He did. KO.
Yeah. See, that's what I mean. It's like it's hard to. I mean, he could rematch any of these dudes, but yeah, it's hard to find a proper booking.
Well, yeah, he fought both of them already. I didn't want to give him Alexander Ratchet because I felt like that was too high.
Dude, I was trying to look up today when he's back. Is there any news on it? I feel like he's been out for so long. Like, when was that fight?
He's still 5 in the rankings, I think.
Alexander.
Oh my god, they have this power slap shit on the fucking cover of the UFC website.
Oh my god, fucking disgusting.
Really?
So that fight wasn't as long ago as I thought. It was in May, so it hasn't even been a year. I don't know why I felt like it was so much longer. The Rakic fight.
Oh,
bro,
Rakic
why are they pushing power slaps so much? Like,
bro,
why?
I fucking hate it. Like, we're taking a detour here right now.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But when the commercials first started happening and you were seeing like random clips, I was always like, oh, this is stupid, but like whatever. Now that I'm like seeing it more and I see the way these dudes just have to stand there and take like concussive blows to the face without moving, I'm like, what? Why are we even doing this? Like, who's watching this? Like, oh, this is great fun. Like, what the fuck is this?
There's literally zero competitiveness involved in this quote-unquote competition.
No,
it makes
so dumb.
No sense.
Zero.
And I've said it before.
Yeah.
Bring back the arm wrestling MMA. I fucking had a great time with that piece of shit. Car no gi jujitsu. I'm sold on that. You can give me that,
bro.
There's a lot of dumb cringe shit you can do.
I would rather
shit.
watch the professional pillow fighting league.
Facts.
Bro, so would I.
First of all,
100%.
how good was that league though? I mean, they were
100%.
fantastic.
Bro, there's a lot of things I'd watch before Power Slap.
Oh my god,
a lot.
It's so stupid. It's so barbaric. It's so unnecessary. There's zero skill. There's zero creativity. Nothing about it is interesting.
I don't see any entertainment factor.
Right.
I'd watch the last season of Game of Thrones again before I watch fucking Power Slap. Okay? You either know what that means or you don't.
I don't.
Yeah.
It's fucking mids, Mike.
As a father, I think I would, and this hasn't been on in my house in years, but I think I would rather play that Baby Shark song on repeat than watch Power Slap.
They've used Baby Shark for torturous reasons in Australia.
What are you talking
I'd
about?
take it. I'm dead serious.
Who's they?
To dispel crowds, they play that over loudspeakers.
Oh
The
my
police.
god, that's so funny.
Get out of here. How
They
funny.
have. I don't know if they still do. I don't know if that's a consistent thing now, but they have.
Oh my god. Wow.
I mean, I would leave, so I get it. All right. We're off the
get
rails
back on
today,
track
baby.
here.
Off the rails.
Let's just jump into the last one here. Ihor Potieira, the
Boo.
duelist. Round 1 TKO over Mauricio Shogun Hua. Let's see.
I'm going to jump in real quick.
You
Fuck
do
that kid for dancing over Shogun Hua's grave. Fuck
Bro,
him.
100%.
Fuck him all day, every day of the week. Fuck that kid.
I don't even
What
want
do you mean
to
his
fucking
grave? What do you mean his
talk
grave?
about this guy.
Listen, Shogun barely had gotten up. Barely was like on all fours. And this kid was out here doing some dollar store RoboCop dance. And it really upset the shit out of me. It's unnecessary.
Dude, he got the
Same,
win.
bro.
He got. If it
No.
was anybody else, you'd not be mad.
You goddamn right. That's
but you don't
absolutely
fucking
true.
break out Shogun in his retirement fight and then do the goddamn robot.
Yeah, 100%. You're absolutely right, Mike. If it was anybody else, I wouldn't give a shit. You're absolutely right. But it was Shogun. He knew it was Shogun. We all knew it was Shogun. Shogun deserves a little bit more respect than... It wasn't even a good dance, Mike. It's not even like it was a great dance. Like, if he had come out with some shit, I'd be like, oh, all right, that was kind of dope. But it wasn't even good.
You're right. You're right.
Chooch.
It came off like a mocking. Like, I
little bit.
really...
Like
I
a
didn't
little
like
bit.
it.
I didn't like it.
Shogun was asked about it in the post-fight presser, and he was not upset.
Oh, I'm
I
sure he
mean, but-
wasn't. Yeah.
Shogun is like if Glover's the nicest guy, Shogun's like the second nicest guy.
That's our job to get upset about, not Shogun's.
Facts.
But yeah, man, he fucking... Oh, are you introing this fight still, or am I talking?
No, just talk.
He teased a couple moments in there with some nice combos. Like, there was a couple times where he caught Ihor, and I was like, fuck, like, is this going to happen? Are we going to get one? And of course not, because fucking MMA sucks all the time when it involves old dudes.
Yeah, that's true.
And we get the direct opposite, and we get this fucking loser doing the robot while Shogun's on the ground. But, like, that is why this matchmaking sucked. I said it last week. I don't understand it. Like, if it was, like, some big prospect they're trying to push, I still wouldn't like it, but I'd be like, all right, it's business. It wasn't even that. It was just some random dude who got beat by Nikolai Negumereanu in his last fight. And now, like, that's the last memory of Shogun Hua, is this guy who's probably going to go on to be nothing. And maybe he shuts me up. Maybe I'm wrong. But go on to be nothing special, and, like, that's the last memory of Shogun. Instead of him fighting someone that would have been special and mattered, like Machida, who he threw out, or there were other options. You know what I mean? It didn't have to be that. But it didn't have to be this guy.
Yeah. We don't have to match up Potieira.
I'm matching his ass up.
Okay, match him up. Match him
Fuck
up.
that. No, he said he's not. And
Oh,
I'm
you
not
said
either.
you're not. Okay.
Oh, hell no, I'm not matching him up.
He's
I
not
cut him
bad,
just for
guys.
being a bitch.
Potieira is like, what is his record? He's
I
19-3.
Yeah,
I
but
am-
even his regional, there's like no one on them. I'm not convinced that he's anything.
I'm emotional right now.
This
is
was
what
his
it is,
first
man.
win in the UFC.
I'll match him up. He can fight Maxim Grishin.
Okay.
Done.
If he dies, he dies.
If he dies, he dies. All right, let's pause here and take a moment and talk about this man, Mauricio
Facts.
Shogun Hua, who didn't announce in the cage that he was retiring. We all knew going into this event that this would be his last fight. So, what do you guys got to say about the career, legendary career of Shogun?
Omar, you were I, sir.
I'll go first for this one. I mean, we touched on it a little bit last week, but, you know, Shogun was some of my earliest memories of MMA. Definitely some of my earliest videos of Pride and kind of what that era was about. And it was definitely, that was I think, prime Shogun, right? Like, the UFC and the rule set there kind of took a lot of tools away from what made Shogun such a beast in Pride and in general, and made him a champion. But I mean, I loved Shogun for forever. I used to play him in the video game all the time. I loved watching him fight. I mean, the man is a warrior. Every time he goes in, it's guaranteed to be some kind of slugfest, for better or worse. Gave us those Dan Henderson fights, which they both probably left shit in the cage both times they were in there. I mean, it's hard. I keep thinking about the fact that we've been watching MMA for so long that there are guys who have probably started watching MMA 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
That's what I was about to say.
And, they really didn't get a chance to see, the best versions of Shogun. But what I do love is that he has such a large legacy and such a large fan base that if you do want to go back and watch, you can really see what Shogun was all about and kind of what impact he had. And I think the MMA world would have been a very, very different place without Shogun Rua in the mix.
Mark?
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that point that you just made, which is that I hope newer MMA fans understand how good this man was. And this is my struggle as I get older here with a lot of these guys who were once killers who get viewed differently by newer fans because they come into the game kind of as these legends are fading away and they don't really fully understand what these guys once were. And I get it. That's natural. But I will get on a soapbox and make sure everyone knows, because the Shogun Rua who's been fighting for, I don't even know what, the last 5, 6, 7 years, like, that ain't Shogun Rua. Like, the legend of Shogun Rua began in 2003 in Pride. I said last week he was a teenager. I was wrong. I think he was 20. And it ran from 2003 to, like, 2010, 11 in the UFC. Like, that was his prime. It was a long time ago. This man just kept going and hung for a while. But that was the prime. When he joined Pride, he rattled off, if you take away the one loss he had due to injury, 12 consecutive wins, and never lost in Pride, other than the one loss due to injury. In those wins, he beat Akihiro Gono, who was a factor back then. He finished Rampage. He beat Little Nog, who was an animal at that time. That's another guy who, by the time he got to the UFC, people didn't realize how good he was. He finished Overeem. He finished Ricardo Arona. Then he had the injury loss to Mark Coleman because he broke his arm in the middle of the fight. Came back, finished Cyril Diabate, subbed Kevin Randleman, who was an animal, beat Kazuhiro Nakamura, who was a monster, finished Overeem again, and then finally came to the UFC and took a actual loss, which is when Forrest was able to choke him out. But even after that, he goes on to avenge the injury loss to Mark Coleman by finishing him. Then he finishes Chuck. Then he gets beat in a close decision by Machida, comes back to finish Machida, become the UFC champion. Like, this run that I'm describing right now is legendary. Then obviously John Jones enters his world and takes his belt. But John Jones is John Jones. He is the GOAT. We know this. And he responds from that by avenging the only loss he hadn't avenged yet, which is Forrest Griffin, and he knocks him out. And then he has one of the greatest fights of all time with Dan Henderson. So that run that I just described is absolutely legendary. And really, within that whole run, until he got older, which kind of happened after that Henderson war, is when we started to see these signs of him not being the same guy. So like 2012 onward, you could say. In that prime run of whatever that is, 8 years, no one other than John Jones got the best of Shogun Rua. Like, even the one finish from Forrest, he avenged it by knocking him out. Like, he is the elite of the elite. And one day we will make a list of, we always say this, we're going to do this for the different divisions, but, like, if you wanted, you could argue, you could do this for a handful of different guys, but you could argue the best light heavyweight ever, not named John Jones, is Shogun Rua. He was that good.
I think the thing that always makes me laugh about the Forrest Griffin fight, the first one, is no one expected. Forrest Griffin didn't expect to win that fight.
Oh, yeah, that was a wild. Yeah.
Like, no one expected him to win that fight. He didn't expect. When he choked out Shogun Rua, no one was more surprised than he was. Yeah. Shogun was on the floor like, bro, what did I just do? What just happened right now? Yeah. Oh, but like, that might have been at that point probably one of the largest upsets they had up until then.
For sure. That was a big one.
Yeah.
What a legend, man. End of an era.
The last guy with Pride experience in the UFC, I'm pretty sure, on the current UFC roster.
Oh, is that it? Is that the end of Pride?
I think. Obviously, we have
Wait,
Ihor in
no,
Bellator.
baby, Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz is still in the mix.
Well, okay, he fought once in Pride, but it
Come
was
on,
in the,
baby.
it-
Come
it was
on,
in
baby.
The US. Does it
That's
even
the
count?
go-go. That's the go-go plata. It counts. Don't
I
do
know,
that.
but it was in the US. It
Don't-
wasn't Japan Pride.
One of the most disgusting submissions of all fucking time.
All right, but my point is, he was not a Pride fighter. He just participated in one event when they came to the US.
Listen,
It's not
you get
exactly.
a badge. You get a badge.
Yeah, all right. He's got a badge. He doesn't have like a membership card though.
All right, boys, let's jump into this lightning round. To finish off this card, here we go. UFC lightning round for UFC 283. In the middleweight division, Bruno Ferreira defeats Gregory Hobocop Rodriguez by knockout at 4:13 of round number 1. Omar, go first.
Bro, this one was sad, man. At this point, I should also mention the entire fights in the lightning round were done while I was at Buffalo Wild Wings and everybody's watching the Giants get their asses destroyed. So while everybody's watching this, I am yelling at the TV for a lot of these different fights. This was also one of them. I did not expect for this to happen. Bruno Ferreira had a nice little step back and then just launched a straight right to RoboCop's face, and that was all that she wrote. One, of course, super necessary shot, but other than that, I mean, you got to watch out for this guy because apparently the man has got hands. I did not expect Gregory or RoboCop to go down the way that he did. It's wild.
Yeah, man. Mark?
Yeah. It sucks for Rodriguez considering he thought he was getting a shot against Brad Tavares, could finally like break through into the mix with that kind of a win, and instead gets knocked out by a short notice fighter. So sucks for him. I do wonder if this is one of those fights where like if there was a camp and if Gregory Rodriguez knew Ferreira a little better, if it ever would have played out this way. But it did, and he got put out bad. And he was looking good for every second of that fight until the moment he got put out. But he got put out. And Ferreira carries some real natural power because holy shit. Unbelievable debut for him to come in on short notice and KO a guy as talented as Rodriguez is. But yeah, that was a perfect, accurate left hook, and good night.
Woo! Thiago Moises round 2 submission via face crank over Melquizael Costa. Mark, go first.
Dude, Costa showed some signs of someone that I'd want to see more of. Like, he seems like he's an entertaining fighter. And he didn't make it easy for Thiago Moises, but as we know, Thiago Moises is very good. And his takedowns and grappling were just too much here, as they have been for most guys that he's fought. A beautiful back take by Thiago in the end. The way he pulled that leg out from behind and then threw the hooks in immediately. And then from there, the choke was academic. So a nice win for Thiago. Unfortunately, not the big fight against Guram Kutate Ladze that we were supposed to get here, but he gets the win at least and keeps moving.
Omar.
I think it's always nice, even when they don't get these big fights, that at least when they get these solid-ass performances, these highlight reel performances, I feel like it's not all for nothing, you know? And I can tell you this, man, if you're winning off of face cranks and not actually getting it under the chin,
right, true, wasn't you right?
That's a disgusting choke, a disgusting amount of force that you're putting onto somebody's face. Usually when they get to that point, I'm pretty sure the guy is thinking in his head, he's about to break my jaw. And I don't think they want any part of it. I don't blame them. Apparently that's weeks of having your mouth sewn, like wired shut. So, but fantastic performance from Moises, man. I mean, his jiu-jitsu, he's going to become one of these guys. I think that his jiu-jitsu is going to be what he's known for. He's probably going to be a Gilbert Burns in his own right in that sense.
Gabriel Bonfim, round 1 submission via guillotine choke over Munir Lazez. Omar, sticking with you, go first.
Bro, these Bonfim brothers apparently are legit as shit. This one did not take very long. I mean, I don't even think they really got into playing around and even exchanging a little bit. It got really close in the grappling. Bonfim took a neck, rolled with a takedown, ended up in mount, and just completely ended this man's life. I mean, it doesn't get cleaner than that. And this is the older Bonfim.
Younger.
This is the younger Bonfim.
Yeah.
The older one is nasty too, but this one came away flawless victory.
Yeah, Omar said it. These Bonfim brothers have arrived, and we will talk about Ismail in a minute. I was a bit less impressed with Gabriel, just technique-wise. He looked a little bit wilder than Ismail did. But he is supposed to be the better brother, Gabriel. He's the one that has a bit more hype behind him. And he did win much quicker, so I guess you could say he delivered on it. But that was a beautiful, savage guillotine and a perfect debut win.
Woo! Let's see. Jailton Almeida, round 2 TKO over Shamil Abdurrahimov. Mark, sticking with you, go first.
Bro. It took Jailton Almeida all of about 10 seconds to pick Shamil Abdurrahimov up like he was a baby. And Shamil is huge.
Yes.
Like, I think Jailton could have literally rocked him back and forth if he wanted to. His strength is not normal. I've said this before. I hope we're testing that man because something just feels fucking wild when you watch him. But seriously, this win matters. The rest to this point, we're kind of just like, oh, wow, look at how good Jailton Almeida is beating up these somewhat random dudes. Like, to do the same thing to Shamil, not like he is elite or anything like that, but he has wins under his resume over guys who matter. And he just got absolutely handled. So that one meant something. The next fight for Almeida is going to be against somebody real, I would imagine, for sure. And I can't wait to see it. And honestly, I don't know who's beating this man.
Omar.
Yeah, dude. Almeida's a beast, man. I thought I had that round 1 pick in the bag, but the referee was not about to call that fight apparently by the end of the first round. And then we get to the second, more of the same, and eventually it's called. But it was this close to that first round pick.
Cody Stamann. Excuse me. Cody Stamann, unanimous decision over Luan Lacerda. Omar, go first.
Yeah, I think this was, and all things considered, it was a crazy-ass night. But I think this was probably the most lackluster fight of all of them. And not even to say it was a bad fight. But definitely the one that I think had the least amount of sting out of all of them. But Cody Stamann did work, man. Cody Stamann, I thought, definitely came out on top. I can't remember now if I had him up 2 rounds or 3. I think it was 2 going into the 3rd round. But I thought he did work. I absolutely thought he did work. Lacerda is good, though. I enjoyed his technique in that fight. I just think Stamann was too much.
I fucked up. I didn't watch these prelims live because I was watching my Giants get obliterated. I turned it on in time for the main card, and then I guess it was the next night I went back, and I thought I went through every prelim one by one, but I am just realizing that I skipped one, and it is this one. So, fuck. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
Which
like
sucks because I read people were debating the decision as well, so I don't know how I forgot to watch this fight.
Yeah, I don't. You really didn't miss anything though, as far as
Onward.
once you know the scorecard. It's like I don't know, it loses a little something to go watch it now.
I don't know how I did that.
Okay. In the lightweight division, Ismail Bonfim defeated Terrence McKinney by knockout via devastating flying knee. Mark, go.
What a fucking debut for Ismail Bonfim. Holy shit. And not just the finish, the whole fight. Whole fight. He fought that fight from jump like a guy who knew he was better, like a guy who knew he couldn't lose. And that's a great thing to see from a newcomer because that tells you a lot about the mindset of a guy. And he was wholly unfazed by what McKinney was throwing at him. And McKinney's a dangerous motherfucker. And he just didn't care. He moved forward. It didn't seem like anything was bothering him in there. He picked him apart, and then he absolutely slept him in the most highlight reel fashion that you can sleep someone.
Omar.
I think the thing that was interesting for me was how uncomfortable Terrence McKinney ended up looking in that fight because of how good Bonfim was. He tried to have a poker face. He tried to kind of keep his shit together. But the reality was that every turn, Bonfim was a step ahead of him. The striking was absolutely disgusting. Before he got knocked out, his mouthpiece went to fucking another country. Yeah. Like, this man was getting lit up from the beginning of that bell all up until the time he got laid on his face. I mean, even knowing how good Bonfim might have been before that fight, I would still never have picked him to win by a complete ass beating in round 1. Never. So
round 2, but yes.
Yes, but still, the Bonfim brothers, man, absolute beasts. Absolute beasts.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Nicholas Dalby split decision over Worley Alves. Omar, staying with you.
What a crazy ass fight this was. The pace that Nicholas Dalby can set in a fight is absolutely outrageous. Completely outrageous. I kind of wasn't surprised about the scorecards. I had Nicholas Dalby winning 2-1, but I could see why some of the judges may have had Worley Alves winning a couple of those rounds. They were close rounds. They were competitive. It's hard for me to not give that work rate and that, he had it. I thought he had it on the feet. The ground game, I think, is what really started to become a problem. The takedowns, the control. But I thought Dalby did more when it came to the damage department and the work rate as well. So I had him winning 2-1.
Mark?
This was a great fight, man. I loved this fight when it got made. I enjoy watching both of these guys, and I enjoyed watching this fight. They were working in there. And it was close. I did have Dalby up 2-0 after the first 2 rounds. Same as Omar, I do feel like you could maybe make an argument. I forget which round it was. I think it was 2. I think 1 was definitely Dalby.
It was 2.
But I had Dalby up 2-0. Agree the work rate, as expected from Dalby, is always awesome. But what impressed me was that I gave Worley round 3, which I think actually says a lot about improvements that he's making, because he is typically a guy who goes away as fights go on. So to see him handle that pace and even win round 3, I think is encouraging for him despite the loss. But I think he did just get edged out by the activity, as Omar said, and just the general toughness of Nicholas Dalby. So a nice win for Dalby.
Absolutely. Okay, women's featherweight division. Josiane Nunes defeats Zara Farim by UD 29-28 across the board. Mark, what's your take?
Dude, how do you live with yourself if you're Zara Farim after you lose that fight? Like, she was so much bigger. It looked like it could have been a mother and her daughter. Like, the size difference is so wild. It's got to be so frustrating for her to deal with that loss. But Nunes
needs to fucking run. She needs to run.
Yeah,
is what it is
for sure. Yeah, but Nunes is tough, man. She wouldn't go away. She endured a tough round 1 for sure. But we knew she that's how she fights. And then Omar said it. Farim got tired, and once she got tired, she couldn't keep Nunes off her anymore. She couldn't use the length anymore to keep her away, and Nunes was able to just crowd her and keep landing and nullify that size disadvantage. And then, when they're the quote-unquote same size, Nunes is the one who's the more dangerous fighter, and it showed.
Oh, yeah.
I will say this. I may be being a bit harsh, right? This was her debut, if I'm not mistaken, right? This was the Farim's debut?
Nah, dude. She's 0-3.
Oh,
she got beat by Megan Anderson and Felicia Spencer.
Because this is something that I don't understand is the first round was so good, but then by the second round, it seemed like that was all she had. That was literally her entire gas tank was the first round. So, like, if you're going to do these high-level competitions, you got to be able to pace yourself. And if you can't keep the pace you're setting for 3 rounds, then don't set the fucking pace that way. Especially when you're that much bigger and you have the ability to do so. Like, there wasn't really a ton she needed to do in that fight with the size difference that she had. Jabs, crosses, knees. That probably would have been all she needed. And every time Nunes would have come in, knee that chick right to her tit. It wouldn't have taken all that much. She's right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought it was frustrating for me to watch because she had done so well in the first round, and you could see Nunes even through 2 and 3 was struggling. Like at one point she was like, "Oh shit, wait, I can jump," and she starts Superman punching her in the fucking face because she can't reach her. She physically can't get up there without tremendous struggle. And like where are the front kicks from Farron? Where are all the things that like a front kick is basically 3 feet of length right there. Put that shit in her face. It made no sense. It made no sense. The cardio definitely impacted her, but like, got to be smarter about how you use your gas if you only have it for 1 round.
Omar, I will say I forgive you because her last fight prior to this one was 3 years ago.
Oh, well.
So, easy to forget.
I was wondering if this was her debut, maybe the nerves got to her. Maybe she got super excited. Maybe that was the case fighting in Brazil, fighting on the big stage. You know what I mean? It's a possibility.
Yeah,
0-3 though. Like if this is your 4th fight though, like
third. She is 0-3 now.
This is the 3rd. Okay.
Yeah.
Still need to. I mean, it's not your first. You got to get on it,
and that might be the last potentially as well.
And which is why you had to get on it.
Yeah.
Goddamn Farron.
Mike, we got nothing left in the show, bud.
Okay, one more. It's the lightning round. It's the principle of the thing.
That's true.
Okay, Daniel Marcos defeats Simon Oliveira by knockout in the second round, 218.
I didn't laugh enough at your lightning bolt. I'm enjoying it now.
No, I was just noticing I pulled a mark here. I didn't watch this fucking fight.
Oh, shit. Wow. I get
Mark,
one
take us
back.
home.
Marcos was the far more composed fighter in there. Oliveira felt like he barely had a game plan. He came off somewhat like that kid who like throws helicopter hands when he gets in a fight, like in grammar school. He kind of gave off those vibes, and Marcos just walked him down. He was relentless, and Oliveira just didn't. It seems like he didn't have the requisite skill to keep Marcos off him long enough. And about 7 minutes in, that point came, and Marcos found the off switch with the body shot and got a really nice finish and a nice way to debut for him.
Omar.
I didn't watch this fight.
Oh, that's right. Then that's it for the lightning round. Lightning round's over. You like my Dr. Seuss lightning bolt?
I do enjoy it.